Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Terra Outdoor Adventures. My name is Clay. In today's video, we're gonna do a bit of a gear rundown, a walkthrough of the gear that I'm using for 2023. A lot of this gear is new. I've been using the same probably old backpacking gear for the past 15 years or so. 2023 was the year that I wanted to get back into backpacking, start a YouTube channel, kind of share my journey, and I decided to upgrade a lot of my gear. Again, I've been using the same sort of older gear for a while, so a lot of the stuff is new. I wanted to take you through sort of my gear, the stuff that I use on trips where, you know, I'm just packing for myself. Me and my wife, we have a bit of a solo or a different rundown for our couple trips, but for just me, this is the gear that I use, so let's take a look. Okay, to start off the gear rundown, we have my new pack. This is the Osprey Exos 58 liter pack. This is the large, extra large frame size, so it's actually a little bit bigger than 58 liters. It's technically 61 liters, but it's called the Exos 58. I really like this pack. It is sort of the perfect hybrid in my mind of an ultralight pack and one that does not compromise on comfort or extra little features. This is sort of Osprey's entry into the ultralight pack market. This pack is right about 3 pounds, which I think is perfect for me. It's way lighter than the pack that I was using before. It was the Kelty Red Cloud 5600, which is like 90 or 95 liters. It was a bag that my dad got for me on eBay back when I was a teenager. It was a great bag, but it was very big, very bulky, very heavy. This is definitely an upgrade. I really like it. It is nice and lightweight, like I said, and it's not technically an AG pack, but you can definitely see right here, it has this really nice suspended mesh back panel, which helps with comfort. The AG packs have a bit of a different way that the mesh sort of goes through the hip belts, but this is very nice and comfortable. I do like the hip belts. They hug your hips really nice in a way that's not super uncomfortable like some other hip belts do. Some of the older versions of the Exos got rid of the hip belt pockets, but these have the hip belt pockets. Very nice pack. A couple little quirks that I have with it. I'll get into those in a separate video. I'm going to do sort of a full rundown on this pack after a couple of trips and, you know, a lot of miles on it so far. But this is my pack. Holds everything very well. 51, or like I said, 58 liters, but 61 liters for my frame size. That holds basically anything I could want to hold for winter trips, anything like that. And if I wind up going on a summer trip or something where I don't need to pack as bulky of stuff, then I can just, you know, have some stuff not in compression or stuff sack. So it actually takes up a little bit more volume, and so stuff's not sort of, you know, wiggling all over the place. Really do like this pack. I think it's great. We'll get into the rest of my gear. We'll start with my tent. Okay, starting with my tent, we have the Durston X-Mid 2-person tent. Feel like this tent doesn't really need a whole lot of introduction. If you've done any research for backpacking tents over the past couple of years, you've definitely seen this tent. It is a great tent, very nice and small and lightweight. It's a trekking pole tent, so there's no included poles. You just have to bring your own trekking poles. You can purchase them separately, but I always bring trekking poles anyway, so I use my trekking poles with them. Very easy to pitch this tent. With a minimum of 4 stakes and just your 2 trekking poles, you can have a nice pitch. It comes with some titanium V-style stakes, which I've had issues with in the past, so I swapped out to the MSR Groundhogs. I love the MSR Groundhogs, a little bit heavier, but I like the extra security knowing that my stakes are gonna stay in and they're not gonna bend. I do use the included titanium shepherd stakes just for the doors here. There are some little stakeout points right here on the door, and I always like to stake them out because, as you can see, when you open the door, it sort of stays there. And I've said this in a previous video when I was reviewing the REI Flash 3 tent. Link that video up here in the corner as well. One of the things that I love about this tent is the permanent vestibule point when you stake it out. So if you need to throw your gear up underneath here, your shoes, anything like that, it is always going to stay like this if you have it staked down right here. I really love that. I'll get some close-up shots so just so you can kind of see. But this tent is really great. I'm 6'3", and I don't have any issues with my feet touching or my head touching on either side. I don't really have any issues with headroom sitting up. It is an asymmetrical design, so the side of the tent is here. You have one peak pole here and one peak pole there, so it goes at a diagonal across the tent. So it does give you sort of a weird asymmetrical layout on the inside. And if you're sleeping with 2 people, then obviously, you know, it kind of makes sense to have them flip-flopped and have one person sleep with their head on one side, the other person sleep with their head on the other side. Durston says that you don't have to do that. This is my single person tent. It is technically a 2-person, but I use it just for me. So I don't ever have to worry about that. It's a palace for 1 person. I usually can actually just throw most, if not all of my gear on the inside of the tent and just keep it with me. So I love this tent. Very nice, very spacious, very nice and small. Throws it, can throw it in the backpack really easily because there's no trekking or there's no poles, tent poles to have to fiddle with or anything like that. So it's very easy to pack. Now let's take a look inside the tent at my sleep system. All right, sleep system. Starting off, we have the Nemo Tensor insulated sleeping pad. This is the long, wide version, so 25 by 76, if I'm not mistaken. Again, 6'3", need to make sure I have something that can fit me. I really like this pad. This is the 2023 revision that has the updated R value to 4.2. Most of the stuff that I'm doing is above freezing when I'm out camping, so this is gonna cover probably 95% of what I do. I really like this sleeping pad, 3 inches thick, really nice and warm, packs down super small, about the size of the Nalgene, so it's really easy to pack in, and it's very light. It's about 1 pound, so it's as far as the perfect balance between comfort and lightweightness. That is my go-to, and that's kind of how I like to structure most of my gear. It doesn't have to be the lightest weight, it doesn't have to be the most comfortable. I just want to try to find the best balance between comfort and weight, and that's why I really like the Nemo Tensor. On top of that, I do have my Sierra Designs Cloud 35 sleeping bag. This is a down sleeping bag, 800 fill power down. Bag itself weighs around 1.5 pounds, so it's really nice and lightweight as well. I bought this bag for a couple of reasons. One, it's a unique design. It is a zipperless sleeping bag. I don't know if I've seen any other sleeping bags besides some Sierra Design offerings that are zipperless, but obviously you don't have a zipper. The material right here on this side of the sleeping bag, it just sort of stops, and then there is this blanket part that kind of comes down about my thighs when I'm laying in it, and it's really nice. It's super versatile. You can control your temperature really easy in a bag like this as you're sort of sleeping through the night. I tend to be a bit of a warm sleeper, so it's easy for me to sort of just throw the blanket off and get some nice fresh air. There's also a really great temperature control option down here at the foot box. There's this little slot, really easy to use if you need to stick your feet out the bottom. All you got to do is raise your knees up, poke your feet out the bottom, and you can kind of cool your feet off, and then it's very easy to just slide them back in. I've slept in this bag down to about 35 degrees and was totally fine. Never had any cold spots, no drafts or anything like that through the slot at the bottom or here at the top. So I was really happy with the performance. And one of the things that I really love about this is it does have a half pad sleeve. I wish that more sleeping bag manufacturers would start utilizing this half pad sleeve because it just makes it feel a lot more like a bed. With a lot of these sort of mummy style sleeping bags, if you're not using an actual quilt, then if you sort of toss and turn throughout the night, a lot of the times the sleeping bag tosses and turns with you. It sort of rolls around, maybe you roll on top of your zipper or the blanket in this case. It can just be kind of annoying. So this being permanently attached to the sleeping pad makes it really nice. So as you toss and turn through the night, the sleeping bag doesn't toss and turn with you, you just turn inside of it. So it feels a lot more like your bed at home. And as far as pillows, again, I go for comfort, kind of a balance. So I have 3 pillows. I don't bring 3 pillows, I bring 2 pillows. One of them I always bring, the other 2 I go back and forth on. So I have here, this is the Outdoor Vitals pillow. I got this on a Facebook special. You sign up for their mailing list and they send you a free pillow or something. So I paid like $9 for shipping on this, and that was great. And then I have these 2 Thermarest compressible pillows, 2 different sizes. This is the newer size. This is the cinch compressible pillow. Both pillows compress the same way. You just sort of roll them up. They tuck into this pouch. But this is the newer one. It's the bigger version, and it has this extra little cinch drawstring at the top where you can sort of cinch it down, make it a bit more compact. So give it a bit more firm cushion when you're sleeping. So it's a little bit more dynamic in that regard. But I find that it feels like they actually understuffed this to accommodate for the extra cinch. This is the medium version of the old style that does not have the cinch, and I tend to prefer this because it just feels firmer, packs down a little bit smaller, it's a little bit lighter. I prefer this, but it's nice to have sort of both options. I do enjoy this, but most of the time I'm going for this pillow. So This Outdoor Vitals pillow goes in the little hood part of my sleeping bag, and then this usually goes on top. I sleep with 2 pillows at home, so this kind of makes me feel like I'm sleeping at home. So that's my sleep system. We'll get into some of the other little accessories and things that I bring. We'll start off with my cook kit so you can kind of see what that looks like. Okay, for my cook system, this is my Toaks 750 milliliter titanium pot. I try to keep my cook system pretty nice and compact. I keep one of these little isobutane bases at the top, and then inside I have a little thing of fire starter with a lighter, and then I also have isobutane, obviously. So everything kind of packs all down nice into the pot itself. So it's really easy to kind of pack away. I use this as a pot holder, and if you can probably see, it's already taken a little bit of damage from being used as a pot holder, but you know, it happens. So everything packs up all nice and, whoops, dropped the lid. Everything packs up all nice and small. And then as far as my stove, I'm using the original MSR Pocket Rocket. I know there's newer versions of the Pocket Rocket, but this is one of the oldest pieces of backpacking gear that I have. Love this thing. Never let me down, not even a single time. It always lights. You know, it's just a great option. Thought about going with some of those newer like BRS or BSR or whatever they are, some of the lighter weight options that can maybe go into my cook kit, but this is fine. I love this thing. And then I use this titanium spork. This is the Tapirus. This is just a knockoff or whatever that I got on Amazon. It came in a 2-pack with a spork and a spoon. I use the spork because it's just a little bit more easy to deal with. And then for food storage, I'm using this. This is a Sea to Summit Evac Event. I forgot what EVAC stands for. I know event means that it can let air out, but water can't get in. This is a 13-liter dry bag. This is normally what I keep all of my food in. I normally keep my boil in a bag meals here because that's what I take most of the time at the bottom. And then I'll usually have like a gallon Ziploc bag that I will put on top, or maybe just throw somewhere in my bag with sort of snacks, jerky. I like to bring a lot of candy and stuff when I go backpacking, Gushers, fruit roll-ups, that sort of thing. So I will usually keep that in a Ziploc bag, either in the brain or right there at the top of the pack, just so it's a little bit quicker since this is sort of at the bottom of the pack. This being a waterproof stuff sack, it's really easy to roll down, and if I need to, I usually will just find kind of a little tree that has a little thing on it, put the stuff sack on the tree just to keep the food off the ground, away from critters. If I'm in bear country, obviously I'll use a bear line, sort of throw that over, but I'm not often in bear country. I live in Alabama, and there's not a ton of bears here. There are some, but not a ton. So that is my food system. Next, we're gonna move into sort of my pack organization. The Osprey Exos that I have does not have any sort of interior pockets or anything like that. It's just one big open chute. So we're gonna dive into kind of how I organize my stuff in my pack. Okay, so for pack organization, I use the Granite Gear Zip Diddy system. It's just some little stuff sacks you can buy. I got mine on Amazon, and they do come in sort of an assorted size pack. So I got the 4-pack. This is the smallest one. It's a 0.6 liter. This is my toiletries kit. Inside, I just have some Dr. Bronner soap, a little travel thing of deodorant, travel tube of toothpaste, and one of those little folding travel toothbrushes. I like to stay fresh and clean on the trail as much as I can, and having some clean hands before you eat dinner, clean with soap, not just with hand sanitizer, can really make you feel a lot better on the trail. So that is my toiletries kit. The next size up is this 1 liter option. This is the medium size. This is what I keep my water filter in. So I use the Platypus Quick Draw. The Quick Draw is really nice because it has these waterproof ends, these caps on either side. So when you're done filtering, you can actually shut this thing up and it doesn't drip all over your pack. So I really like this. Very nice flow rate. And it's the only, if I'm not mistaken, it is the only water filter that lets you do an integrity test. You can attach a bottle, something, at the bottom, and then you can look inside the actual filter part while you're squeezing, and there's a stream of bubbles that you're supposed to look for, and depending on how the stream of bubbles looks, it'll let you know if the filter has been compromised or not, if you left it out overnight in the freezing cold or something like that. So really great. There's instructions in the box, but I love this thing. Pretty nice and lightweight, very easy to pack down. And then as far as a dirty water bag, I use the tried and true Knock Vecto. This is the 2 liter. I usually keep this thing rolled up just like this inside my water system, so everything is really nice and compact. I do also keep some of the potable aqua water tablets. I never use those, but it's sort of just a fail-safe in case I need to filter water and my filter dies or something like that. So that is my water filter system. I like this color because I don't have anything else purple in my kit. I don't have a single other piece of purple gear, so this being purple makes it really easy for me to just kind of dig out in my backpack. But I really like this, really nice and lightweight. Moving on to my electronics kit. This is the large size bag. This is 1.7 liters. In here I have a battery bank, my headlamp, charge cables, some batteries. I usually will keep my battery charger for my camera as well. So just, you know, your typical sort of electronics kit. Nothing super crazy in here. Cutting in here, so I forgot one of the things that I always bring with me is this Flextail tiny pump. And the reason why I wanted to make a note of this is because if you're buying the Flextail tiny pump, this is the X2 or the 2X, whichever one it is, and you're using the Nemo tensor insulated pads, one of the things to keep in mind is that there's actually not a good nozzle on the that comes with the this pump, unless you sort of mod one. I've seen some people say, oh yeah, just get some electrical tape and sort of wrap it around the longer sort of narrow tube. I took a saw to it, so if you can kind of see right here, that is how I made it work. It's definitely not the cleanest job. I tried to sand it, make it a little bit more clean, but it works fine for me. It fits directly into the little nozzle, the spigot or the spout, whatever you want to call it, for the tensor insulated. And I love this thing. It's got a built-in lantern, so I hang it in my tent when I'm done for a little bit extra light. And I do also keep the airbag that comes with the Nemo tensor tent in the stuff sack, just in case this thing fails, but I don't think it will. But this thing is great. I know it's a little extra weight, but again, it's the creature comfort. So yeah, back to the other stuff. Try to keep my electronics at a minimum when I'm on the trail if possible. And last but not least, I've got my poop kit. This is the extra large size. This is a 2.4 liter. In here we have hand sanitizer, because you always want to sanitize after you do number 2. I use these biodegradable wipes. These are the Surviveware. These are the large wet wipes, which are great because they're huge. I can actually use them just as a little bit of a body towel if I need to. And then I keep, just a little thing of toilet paper in here, and then my Bogler trowel. This thing is great. I just got this recently. It is so lightweight, but the handful of times that I've used it, it's never actually bent or flexed or anything. And it's got these serrated edges right there, so it actually does allow you to sort of cut through roots a bit more easily. Love this thing, and I usually just keep all of these sort of in the top brain of my pack, just so they're a little bit easier to access. The electronics kit, maybe not as much, and the toiletries kit, maybe not as much, because those are things that I usually only utilize when I'm actually at camp. But it's really, they're easy for me to they're easy to see, easy for me to grab and go as I need to. So we'll round off my gear list with just a couple of other smaller things, and then we'll finish up. So for water storage, it sort of depends on the trip that I'm going on. Most of the time I bring this 1.5 liter Nalgene bottle. I do also have some smart water bottles that I'll bring, and I always do keep a smart water bottle on my shoulder strap, just one of the 0.7 liter, smaller smart water bottles with the sport caps as just my grab and go water. This is usually my sort of bigger water storage. I do have a handful of other Nalgene bottles. It sort of just depends on the trip, but this is what I brought to show you. 1.5 liter Nalgene bottle. Got my medical kit. This is the Adventure medical kits. This is the Day Tripper Light. I've had this thing for years and just sort of refill it with Band-Aids or whatever I need to. And some of the things that I've learned that I always like to bring is I do have these little travel pill carriers. I keep just ibuprofen or Advil or something in one of them. But this blue one, this is what I keep my sleep aid in. Walmart has their Equate brand sleep aids, which is diphenhydramine, and it's 50 milligrams of diphenhydramine, which is the active ingredient in Benadryl that makes you sleepy. I think a single Benadryl has 25 milligrams, so taking one of these is like taking 2 Benadryl, knocks you out. I typically don't have much of an issue sleeping, but taking one of those I feel like helps me maintain a deeper sleep throughout the night, so I like taking those, bringing those with me. We also have my pack cover. The Exos does not come with a pack cover, so this is just the Duck's Back by REI. It's a little heavy, but it works fine, and it's super high vis. A lot of the times I'm at the front of the group that I'm hiking with, just because I got longer legs. I'm usually a quicker hiker, so this being pretty high vis makes me a little bit easier to spot if I get a little too far ahead or something like that. This usually just lives somewhere easy to access along with the medical kit. I have this little 4 Monster towel. This thing is nice because it just clips onto the outside of my pack, and it's pretty dang big. You know, it's about this big. It's like a large hand towel. Really great for if you do a river crossing and you gotta wipe your legs off, or you need to wipe off condensation on the inside of a tent, something like that. This comes in handy. And the last sort of thing that I bring as a little happy is my flask. This thing is super bright orange. This is the Stanley 12-ounce flask, if I'm not mistaken. I call this my infinity flask. If there's any other whiskey drinkers out there, you may be familiar with the concept of an infinity bottle. Essentially what that means is anytime that I'm going on a trip, I just sort of fill this back up with whatever I have available. Usually a mixture of things, maybe some different rye, some different whiskeys. So it's always changing every trip that I go on. It's just something else is getting added to it. Sometimes you get good blends, sometimes you don't, but don't really care when you're out on the trail. So I take this with me, and the last thing that I take is my chair. I have the REI FlexLight chair. It is not the lightest thing in the world. It is one of the older pieces of gear that I have as well. I've been wanting to get one of those Helinox Chair Zeros with the high back, just because I like the extra support. But for now, the REI FlexLight chair is fine for me. So that is basically everything that I take. My base weight usually is anywhere around 13 to sort of 17 pounds, which for me is great. My base weight before was probably closer to 20 or 25 pounds. And on the past couple of trips that I've been on, my total carry weight with water, with everything, is around 30, 35 pounds. I'm a taller guy. I've got a bigger frame, and I carry that very well. I don't really feel like I need to carry anything lighter. Sure, lighter would be better, but again, I don't want to give up some of the creature comforts that I like taking with me. So 30-ish pounds is good for me. 15-ish pounds for base weight is good for me. I don't claim to be an ultralight hiker, and I'm not planning on doing any through hiking. I'm just sort of a weekend warrior, maybe doing 5-7 day trips, at maximum. But that is the gear that I take. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. I will also remember to make sure I leave links to everything. A lot of the stuff I bought at REI, some of the stuff I bought on Amazon, so I'll make sure I leave links to everything. They're not affiliate links, not a big enough channel to have affiliate links, so I don't make any commission. They're just there for your reference if you want sort of some more a closer look at what I take. So again, my name's Clay from Terra Outdoor Adventures. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you in the next one.